to my friends in Australia, maybe India, wherever you guys are. So already happy Saturday, Sunday. Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. We are doing debates, hangout, whatever you guys want. I'm going to go ahead and flip on all messages. It's good to see everybody. Just a quick sort of channel update too. For subscribers, if you guys want to drop in chat, say what's up. Feel free to just come in, say hi. Let me get my. Whoa! I got to get myself situated here. And in the meantime, yeah. So there's some crazy news coming out. There's rumors that both the Pentagon as well as Tim Walz are preparing to get the National Guard out to Minneapolis, and so this is in response to what has been like pretty unhinged videos coming out of specifically Minneapolis following the shooting death of Renee Good. And yeah, I think there was another one too. I should probably know that, right? But yeah, that's basically what's going on. Is lots of sort of questions about Trump. We also have really huge updates out of the EU and Canada regarding Trump's plans for Greenland. And so, if you've been following the sort of Greenland story and the geopolitics of what's going on, who it helps, who it hurts, why we should either, depending on who you're cheering for or who you're picking to win, kind of how we can approach that situation too. So it's pretty bad. I'm gonna try to set a poll up, and I'll try to keep chat up on this like second window or whatever. I've got my my Indian Damascus steel sort of like dagger thingy next to me too, so I'm trying to make room on the desk. But here, let's do this. Create a poll. This is how I do this. Against Greenland. Cool. Yeah, so I just launched a poll if you guys want to vote. Hopefully the count comes up on your side. But yeah, if you guys just want to hang out, chill, talk about whatever, I'll just be sitting here. I have my new Tiger shirt. I did a Goodwill run. I'm going to start grifting sometime soon to ask people to help me buy some new books. The whole point of the channel is to do like 130 IQ political commentary. Be able to create conversations, dialogue, discussions that pretty much anyone can access. You open forum for you to share your opinion and hopefully somehow grounding or relating our beliefs back to things and stuff like this. Trump, yes or no? I'm opposed to everything Trump's done during this presidency, basically. I was debating earlier. I was talking to my buddy Brooklyn Lou on his live stream, and I was defending some of the posture the U.S. has, some of the ideas behind U.S. foreign policy, both interventions as well as some of our posture internationally. However, the way Trump's gone about doing it, the execution of it, basically the lack of transparency, and some of the arguments about how unhinged and disconnected a lot of the whatchamacallums, a lot of the like domestic politics and comments Trump has made have been, is really scary. So there's a lot of like xenophobia, bigotry, a lot of like otherizing, hatefulness, hateful speak to people. Yeah, I probably do have black fatigue. I think we should protect the blues. By the way, rhythm and blues, we should protect American art forms. And so I have huge respect for people who have actual black fatigue. And I don't blame people who at this point, they're sick of skipping work to go protest ICE, or, they turn on their news and they're like, oh my gosh, I have to do something with this, guys. I can't just sit here and not do anything. When you have people talking, basically crap talking or talking down to, they're doing like basically like a lot of that spit and game at like racists and stuff like that. because you don't like Somalians, all that kind of stuff. So that's a leftist no. I probably have more conservative leanings than you might imagine. Thank you everyone for voting on the poll, by the way. It looks like 70% of you guys so far, 7 out of 10 of you, oppose Donald Trump's posture on Greenland so far, 64%. So if you want to see that go back up to 70%, vote. If you disagree and you support Trump's Greenland policy, please also vote in the poll. Hi, Walter. Good to see you. Yeah, and so I'm a little more conservative because I'm not a leftist. I want to know what different politicians, guys like Jacob Frey in Minneapolis, the mayor of Minneapolis, I want to know what he's going to say and do using the tools and resources that I already understand. I don't want to necessarily have to wait for like a great savior like Zohran Mamdani for things to change, things to get better, the world to just work as it should be. So I want great government managers. I want great people who are great administrators, great policymakers, and are inclusive. They generally can find a way to put a picture together that everyone in society is going to understand. Yeah, Trump sucks, Bubba. Yeah, Baron Epstein. Baron Epstein. I think is hitting all of the points on Infowars with his PFP and username, at least with his username, Baron Epstein. So we've got the Joe Rogan rebuttal of the Trump administration in chat, which I tend to agree with. I don't think people should think it's trendy or cool. You know, I've got a hat from Goodwill. I've got a thrift store hat right now that I'm pretty excited about. It's got that color fade. But my point of bringing that up is I don't think people should see the red hats and think it's trendy to support Donald Trump if he's impacting people in the real world. Renee is, oh wow, Shadow Band. Coming in hot today, Shadow Band. Good to see you. Yeah, wow. That's a very discompassionate take. I don't think that's going to change how people perceive Donald Trump or the Trump presidency. I look poor. Cool. Yeah, I don't know if I sound poor. I probably am poor. I'm rich in spirit, rich in skills, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, in reality, I'm not a millionaire, not a billionaire. Yeah. But if you want to talk about something cool, Ginger douche. India one smells poor. Oh, come on, guys. Yeah, and so yeah, you know, Trump has looped down a lot of the Trump has looped his conversations, his rhetoric, and his dialogue to capture the imagination of people who were captivated by the story of Charlie Kirk. And if I'm not mistaken, the story of Turning Point was a very small organization, which if not for some billionaire donors, appeared to have really not that much traction in the United States. And so it was the case that Turning Point is not some like grassroots movement. It was not some grassroots movement under Charlie Kirk. The fact that it was sort of independently funded in some ways, but also appealed to large donors, also wanted to work into the RNC, I think shows that, you know, at least some information distribution channels aren't necessarily about providing actually context and information. If you know otherwise, let me know, though. Let me know. Yeah, you know, most people have seen the video at this point of Renee Good. If you're in the United States, it's a big issue. Renee Good was protesting ICE. Her car was blocking the road when asked to move. Officers surrounded her car, and then when asked to move, what happened was Renee began pulling away. It appeared her car bumped an officer, and she was shot multiple times and died on scene. And so a lot of people that see the video think that Renee was somehow between following a lawful order and that the case is clear cut enough. The event was clear cut enough that there should be an investigation by local law enforcement, given that the laws of Minneapolis may have been violated. And it's also not clear where ICE goes. You know, they seem to have offer a response either officially or in the media via Kristi Noem and DHS, who's not even a part of ICE, fairly quickly after this event. And yeah, he had internal injuries and bleeding. Yep. So So this officer apparently got injured. And again, this doesn't really speak to whether or not this was a justified use of force, if he followed procedures and everything. And so we know Mark's opinion now. We know Mark's opinion. And again, this is why we don't trust Mark in chat. We trust experts. We ask where the sort of information goes, who owns what do you call it, evidence in the case, what sort of process they're following, what sort of experts they're going to consult with, who internally is involved in these investigations. And yeah, there's plenty of cases where you can get injured and break the law. And I believe a lot of people saw the video and didn't believe that this was ever a case where this person should have been shot and killed. And this was what Jacob Frey has said, as much as I believe Tim Walz, the governor of that state of Minneapolis, also agrees. Yeah, we've got the Portugoose doesn't like ICE either. So that's on my side. That's the name of the stream, is Debate Trump with Machismo and Cojones. Hangout debate. And yeah, so I personally I can't stand the fact that we're not having local law enforcement involved in this in any way. And it appears to get worse. It seems so weird when all you had to do was open an investigation. And instead now both the Pentagon as well as the state of Minneapolis is thinking about spending billions of dollars. That's my conservative side, while also considering this act of sending active duty military to the state of Minneapolis. For what reason? For what reason? If ICE was undertaking risky operations or very stupidly engaged a soccer mom in this situation where they didn't have to handle it that way, this is why in democracies we vote. So people like Tom Homan, we can be sure, are never, ever, ever again the sort of the head of organizations like ICE. By the way, keep asking folks. I'll mention this again, my talking points, and like the video, subscribe, or like the video if you like this, guys, subscribe, whatever. It's so weird because we see in the United States, ICE is the one agency change disrupted by Donald Trump. And it is also the one agency which is deeply failing. The FBI, the ATF, the DEA, local sheriff's departments, local police departments are all conducting their business largely unimpeded. So why is that the case? If you're a voter in the United States, you can say, yeah, this is absolutely about Renee Good. It's about these people that didn't get convicted in a court of law that are getting beaten or dying in custody, or what else? Are getting killed before the fact, that are getting ripped out of their life at their work and then going to be locked up at a private company. These can all be things that you don't agree with. But it can also just be the case that, well, anything Donald Trump puts his fingers on seems to get ruined. Anything Donald Trump can do. He tried to set up this ICE agency as some sort of almost independent, extra-governmental way to enforce the laws that we already have, meanwhile breaking the laws that we already have. It's a good judgment to say that ICE is not like the rest of the US federal government. It makes sense to say that, yeah, these are Leos and we should treat them as such. In general, treat ICE agents with respect. We should allow discourse and debate to run its course. We should encourage civil disobedience against this. However, it's still the case that ICE doesn't look, act, sound, walk, talk, act, breathe, smell, or in any way resemble the US federal government. We got some Charlie Kirk conspiracy theories in chat. So if anyone wants to pick up on those, and if you guys want to debate or discuss Charlie Kirk conspiracy theories like Candace Owens, go for it. You guys are in good company. Tim Pool released a video today. People that know Tim Pool, he's a very famous libertarian, former journalist who ended up no longer being a libertarian and becoming an always Trumper. And so for Tim Pool, he responded to Candace Owens, basically saying Candace Owens has gone crazy. I believe he used derogatory terms like schizophrenic or bipolar. He did something like that. And so, yeah, some people would say that the backsliding that's occurring right now as a result of Trump's policies is bound to eat the right. It's bound to eat their own, because people on the left are progressive Democrats, independent voters, are just looking at this and saying, well, this is not how my country works. This is not how my country runs. Hey, what's up, Ian Smith? I agree that there should still be investigations. Heck yeah, beat that drum all day, guys. If you guys really truly believe that the video is clear in either direction, that the facts of the case that Fox News or CNN have reported is clear in either direction, there should be no problem having an investigation by local law enforcement given the political climate. That's how things work in a democracy, is robust explanations and not having irrelevant federal agencies and other admin members stand up for an issue that they don't truly know about. Declassify AI as a national security threat. Yeah, that's a good comment. You're not a Democrat, you're just a liar, and no, she didn't hit him. I don't know if that's misinterpreting what I'm saying or if someone else is arguing. But yeah, she did bump him with her car. But yeah, and so, some people would say that, his medical files do need to be reviewed, but that isn't the only relevant fact of the case. That's another way to say that. That's what I would think. I'd want to hear something about that. If they were doing a press conference, a presser, how did he get injured? He got bumped by a car. He got hit by a car. There was no investigation. He was hit. Yeah, that's true. It's a joke. She was an idiot. Being an idiot. So that really bothers me. And the reason that bothers me is it's like saying, well, because she was an idiot, she deserved to get shot. It could 100% be true that she was an idiot, and that still doesn't justify her getting shot. So I hope you don't believe that, Alaskan Marine. That's a really embarrassing username given how you're acting right now. Pretty funny. Pretty hilarious, right? I love it. Go get some. An agent will be cleared completely. It was the only question on how many cities will be left burned down in their temper tantrum. Oof, I don't think it's a temper tantrum. Civil disobedience, right? There was news today out of Minneapolis that a Black Christian preacher organized a protest at a different Christian church that had been supporting ICE in Minneapolis. And so that's fascinating. If you're a Christian, are you allowed to voice your Christian beliefs in a civilly disobedient way at another Christian church? My opinion is because churches are tax exempt and part of society. Churches have to deal with all kinds of stuff. If you guys are picking up what I'm putting down here, there isn't some special rule in the Constitution that says churches get special protection from people protesting at them. In general, churches go out and advertise themselves like anyone else. They're on social media. And so when you voice political beliefs, I don't understand why there is some special law that you don't have to deal with political backlash from what you say. That doesn't exist anywhere. And so I always believe private citizens should be able to voice their opinions in peace. And if you are a legal entity in the United States, I personally believe that you're subjecting yourself to sort of the wild political climates like everyone else. Welcome to society. Welcome to the world. Welcome to the planet, everyone. Hey, what's up, Atlas Knight? Yeah, if you have a favorite like oat milk bath or something, I can take a shower. Yeah, you guys let me know what you think. Let me know what you guys think. What else, guys? Everything is Trump's fault. Let's face it, it's the easiest way out for the left. Yeah, if I'm not seeing if anyone wants to raise their hand that is calling themselves a leftist in chat, I'm not sure what collectivism changes about what we've talked about or what you guys are talking about so far. Not to be unk or old head, but yeah, from a collectivist perspective, someone who read Marx and maybe supports politicians like Bernie Sanders, maybe AOC, they might still try to understand the interplay between local and federal authorities. They still may kind of want to really validate like federal agencies like ICE. There's not a reason why that would be solved differently or better locally. But they might support more technocratic measures, but it doesn't really have to do with like executive law enforcement, things like that. So that's one thing that I would disagree with. Yeah, and being super woke doesn't mean you're a lefty. It doesn't mean you're a leftist. Being anti-racist doesn't mean you identify yourself as a leftist or a righty, an always Trumper, a left, whatever you call it. So if you just want to say like the most hurtful thing you can about someone's politics and not discuss it, that's cool. I guess you're free to do that here. I'd rather have a conversation and learn together. And so however you guys figure that out. And if you believe in it, you believe in it. Cool. Working for your whole life for a piece of land. Yeah, absolutely. People all over the world work so they can not work one day, or work so they can die, or so that their kids succeed. And yeah, and so it's a story as old as time. Yeah, Atlas Knight. So, and just to respond to Atlas Knight real quick too, and I'll give you guys an update on the Trump poll because I can see it on my side very clearly. I did post a video. Dr. Fareed Zakaria, who's a CNN analyst. If you don't know who Fareed Zakaria is, you can leave the stream right now and Wikipedia him if you're interested. But Fareed Zakaria is a very well-respected geopolitical analyst with CNN. And I posted a short on Zakaria today, on his sort of read of the impact of Trump's tariffs and his Greenland policy, and it's really not it's not that great. Like I said at the beginning of the stream, a lot of maybe the ideas of MAGA and the Trump administration, the ideas are very resonant. The ideas may respond to some geopolitical reality. However, the actual execution, the lack of policy, and perhaps the idea that Donald Trump himself doesn't actually hold these ideas about the United States. He does not hold competitive beliefs that are not seemingly autocratic or delusional, actually paints a really compelling picture. It's that governments all around the world are choosing and choosing otherwise. Countries that have previously chosen China as a trade partner are choosing China even more so. China's finding a high demand for their key manufacturing and service sectors, their technology sectors. They're able to consume more energy now than they ever have. And China is being very successful. China's neighbors to the south don't mind because they're also successful. And we are also seeing perhaps the weak state cartels, security cartels in Africa even consolidate more so. We're finding that perhaps more solutions are coming internally, less are appealing to international systems, and Donald Trump is out golfing. He's nowhere to be found. In my opinion, Donald Trump has waged war. He's issued violence to Syria, to Yemen, to Greenland. He's issued threats and taken action in Venezuela, Colombia, Mexico. It is a long, long list, and that's not even exhaustive. And so we have what I think of as a failed presidency backsliding taking place right now, and ICE is only just one little tiny policy that impacts millions of people that we ought to disagree with. And so far, 59% of you say, heck yes, you oppose Trump's posture against Greenland. 59% say, heck yes, I oppose it. Or you said that. And 40% said, heck no. And apparently you guys are posting in chat why you support the United States taking over a sovereign state of Greenland. And that falling under control of Washington, D.C. So it's good to see everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in. Take a second to double tap the screen, like the video, subscribe if you'd like. And like I said, I'm trying to do 130 IQ content on the actual page. That's what I'm trying to do in kind of discussions and stuff here. And that's it. Explain what Biden had done. We need to keep ourselves armed because GOP is a sociopath. I've heard, while I've heard some really extreme, seeming endorsing violent statements against the left or Democrats, people that are not MAGA or are never Trumpers, whatever you want to say, people that just don't like seeing ICE violence in the street. I've seen two different sort of weird sentiments pop up recently. I've seen people going back to taxation is theft. And I've seen people going back to sort of the Federalist and Constitution and saying that, well, we have to defend against tyranny. Two ways. One way to do that. I'm personally not a fan of like pew pews and two-way stuff. I had some firearms growing up, but I don't enjoy violence now. I don't believe that it is the most apropos or sort of appropriate thing to do or be, all that kind of stuff. But if you guys disagree, if you guys think, your mindset shifts, please keep it to yourself, right? Don't post it in chat what you're thinking about. I think, I was an Eddie Eagle graduate. I've got a tiger on my shirt right now. So I believe first and foremost, safety, especially around the family and all that kind of stuff. The second thing I think is that, we have so many levers in a democracy. Have you exhausted them all? sometimes civil disobedience, sometimes just saying, I'm just going to show up and it's only because I can't do anything else, or I'm going to make a Facebook post. These peaceful things that we can do that say that we're not subject to autocratic rule. This is why I think 61% of you right now have said I oppose Trump's posture. That's a lot of people. You guys are looking at in chat right now nearly 70 people that don't believe Donald Trump should take over Greenland. And you took the time to vote when you could have clicked out. It wasn't the default choice, guys. So 70 of you guys so far. So thank you. You're giving me hope, a little bit of optimism that, hey, we've got enough here. We got enough gas in the tank. We've got enough love in our hearts. We can keep the blues alive, baby. We can keep the music running. I'm good with that too. This isn't discussing violence. Yeah, someone else said home protection and personal protection. Yep, cool. Bacon Burner says your face is attracted to your mom's pee-pee. Cool. Feathers or fingers. These people here are like-minded libs. 70% of the country disagrees with you. Yeah, SCA 3434 is actually misquoting the state of affairs, folks. Society is different right now. We see Donald Trump's approval rating plummeting. It's the lowest it's been. We're getting pretty close to the lowest it's been in any of his presidencies, below 40%. So last I saw, I believe there was around 38, 39% approval rating. And a lot of these are Trump voters that are falling off. A lot of the shift is coming from independents. And so why is this remarkable? Because Donald Trump won like 70, 80% of the evangelical Christian vote. And so if you know that there's this population in this group that's always going to approve of Donald Trump, and you wonder why is this guy? Is he trying to trick you? Is he making you a political product? He's turning you guys into like Popular Mechanics magazine for MAGA stuff. And what do you get out of Fox News? You get the war on Christians around the world is the headline they post today. You guys got Jesse Waters. You have some of the best, most powerful news anchors in the industry telling you there's a war on Christians. Well, these are the 40% of people, the less than 40%, the 39% of people that still support Donald Trump. It's gross to say. Maybe I'm overfed on Democratic talking points, but I personally think I can say really nice things about Fox News. I could say really nice things about, some of these guys that I disagree with. I'd love to have a debate with Tucker Carlson, former Fox News anchor, or Brett Baier. He's one of these guys that always brings the most serious side of the news to you. I'd love to have a debate with these guys and ask, why are you telling people right now that there's a war on Christian around the world? Is this not because, in good faith, this isn't because you want to trick the audience into supporting Donald Trump again? And Christians are voting with their mind, their heart, their brain, and at some point they're going to vote again with their wallet. Christians will see that these are just excuses to fund the military again. These are excuses to put money not in the hands of the people, but in a few small select billionaires. Jesus Christ himself would not have stood for that. Jesus Christ himself would have opposed that. Jesus Christ in the book of Mark, and yes, I am secular, but in the book of Mark, Jesus Christ is a healer. This is one of the main stories. It is irrespective of your nationality, your gender, how old you are, if you can pay for it, if you're committed to it. The grace of God and Jesus Christ himself healed people. And so you can be secular or you can be Christian and you can oppose Donald Trump. There's a bunch of people just tuning in. Thank you, everyone. It's good to see you. Good to see everyone in chat. I'm going to go back and say hi to some folks, read some stuff. Religion is taking a big hit in recent years. Yeah. Yep. You can look around the world and we can see in various places, religion seemingly is on the decline. Religion is still represented in politics and in institutions around the world. Saudi Arabia is a very notable, wealthy, successful theocratic rule. There is religious violence committed against ordinary citizens in the name of Islam, in the name of Sharia law. In Saudi Arabia, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. And that's one of the issues. I think people would say, look, Saudi Arabia is a religious country. What can I learn from this place? Because some people say the United States is a Christian country. Can I learn from this place? Um, and people would say Saudi Arabia spends time with the United States, with presidents, combating some of the worst forms of evil in the world. But they also themselves commit pretty violent atrocities against their own people, in the name of religion. And so when you're doing good things and you're committing political violence, it to me, it doesn't seem, I'm curious what you think. I'll check in chat in just a second here, but it seems to me that it doesn't need to or shouldn't have to be the case that that it's just practical that you're committing religious violence. I can't excuse that and say, well, it's just practical. It's just the case that it's expedient. It's the most efficient way to manage our judicial system or education system or society. And then in the case when Saudi Arabia is working with the U.S. to do good things that we ourselves as individuals could never imagine, then to say, well, this is because of Islam, to be truthful. I think it's both the case that religion produces both these good things and these very practical harms in the world. And so when people ask me, as an American, as a former Catholic, as an atheist, what I believe, I would say, yeah, I don't believe the U.S. is a Christian nation because you know what, the United States itself produces both forms of evil and good and practical things and all this other stuff. And yeah, I wouldn't want you to look at us like I look at Saudi Arabia and basically, call it a wash. I want you to deal with reality. Sorry if that's too heavy, nasty, brutal, but you know, and so you can only read only the red. I'm going back to chat, guys. Religion is a cancer. Religion is so 2001. Wow, very secular chat. A lot of times we have people quoting Bible verses, doing apologetics in chat, or reading Bible verses. If you guys have any of the great verses from the book of Mark that I mentioned, please do leave them. Again, as an atheist, I love some Bible verses. God is the one that crushes my bones. How about this one? No. No, but I don't mind some Bible verses. Thou shalt not use the name in vain. Wasn't about cussing. Yeah, F you, F this. I was just arguing with someone way smarter than me about that recently. Get a bit edgy, say something controversial. Heck yeah, let's absolutely do that. Yeah, let's bring honesty back to politics. I grew up listening to like Rise Against, Blink 182, Sum 41. Nothing too hardcore. I think I had like an old Misfits CD and some of like that really old school punk rock stuff too. But like that old kind of God Save the Queen punk anarchist attitude, that's not leftist, right? That's artistic. That's one of the things I feel really bad for. Like the right-wing talking points are so devoid of culture. So devoid of culture. And yeah. And not to beat up on Turning Point USA, but when they do campus events and they say, well, we're going to talk about trans issues and all this other stuff, it's like, you know what, fuck, bugger off, right? Fuck off, dude. Like, no offense, but when I was in college, I would drive to school in a car without air conditioning, in a leather jacket, listening to Cage the Elephant, and it would keep me warm, and then I would go to class, and then I would go home. And this did not impact at all my ability to take away from like a poli-sci and philosophy education. So my opinion is that like, yeah, you don't have to talk directly about the issue to talk about it. Some people understand that really well and are really interested in it. But yeah, let's bring back impropriety. Let's bring back, kind of that speakeasy culture. Let's bring back a little bit of that punk rock attitude. And yeah, because not everybody wants to protest ICE. Some people just want to say, bam, F you, F you. I'll give you guys a quick update. We're at 59% of you say heck yes. You oppose Trump's posture against Greenland. 41% say heck no, and there's 174 votes. So what is that? That's about 85 of you. So about another 15 people so far in our audience tonight. didn't have to vote, you didn't have to use your voice, you didn't have to weigh in on this, but have said, heck yes, I oppose Trump. And by the same token, about 45 of you guys, 46 of you guys, about that, have said, heck no, I support Trump's posture against Greenland, and here's why. And so I'm excited. Hopefully I get to see you guys in chat if you guys weigh your evidences. And you guys can always tag me at DucksY if you want or need me to read anything, at DucksY, very simple, at DucksY, and I will pick up your comment and make sure we can talk about it, or I can just add a thought or idea. Liberal arts major. I have a bachelor's of science, so yeah, I'm not a genius, but I took 400 level statistics. I took IR. I don't know if IR is technically, I believe, in liberal arts because it's poli-sci. It's a social science. And philosophy, yeah, Peter Thiel. So TextCal probably opposes Peter Thiel as well, if I can guess by the name and the default PFP. TextCal doesn't care about Peter Thiel. And yeah, so have a good night to you as well. Thank you for stopping by, and thank you for the message. Before DNA, King Solomon. Oh, we got some biology going on in chat. Let's see this. This is from Charlotte. Before DNA, King Solomon determined the true mother by insinuating the child be cut in half and given to each woman. Wow. Yeah, before DNA tests, before Maripovich, paternity tests, right? We don't say DNA tests. If it's daytime television, we have to call it a paternity test. Yeah, and this is the Yeshua or Yahweh, the God of the Old Testament. I'm not defending this circumstance as a moral case or evidence or anything like that, but I will mention that as an atheist, this God of the Old Testament kind of gives you the world to live in, and then also what he says to you is, I mean, whatever. That's what he says. He says, yeah, whatever. The Old Testament God says, there's all these good things about heaven and about God's law and about morality. And then he says, okay, and whatever. He says, here you are, and here you will be. And so I think in a enlightened sense, when we have not just cell phones, but we've seen greater goods than any one individual can imagine being produced by society, and we have scientific evidence of things. I reject King Solomon giving people paternity tests by way of threat of violence. That's yucky to me. And I also believe that it's possible to be that way and still see that sort of the picture of God of the Old Testament is a little richer. It's a little richer, and just for me, the God of the Old Testament is less likely. It's less likely. Yeah. Do you want me to roid rage? Yeah. I popped off at chat yesterday, so if anyone was here yesterday in chat and is here again today, hello, good to see you. But yeah, I'm not gonna roid rage. I had 120 grams of vegan protein today, so I'm well fed, folks. I'm feeling good. Yeah, Logan Paul is selling his expensive Pokemon cards, by the way. I don't know if you guys do TCG or you guys do trading cards or anything like that, any hobbies or like business opportunities and collectibles. But yeah, I saw Logan Paul was trying to sell his expensive Pokemon card recently, his Illustrator in PSA 10. Yeah, soy rage. Yeah, I said I sorry chat. I didn't mean to pop off at you guys yesterday. I so sorry. Don't sway out on us. Yeah. So what I said yesterday was I still remember this. This is how you guys know I'm honestly sorry. I'm not kidding. Is I said you guys have no natural instinct. Yeah, and it's probably just because I'm like a C tier or like D tier, like at the best, like a B tier streamer. I'm like very, very like low key, no cap. I'm like horrible at streaming. So I was like, okay, I'm just gonna yell at chat and take it out on you guys because I'm on hour and 45 minutes and I ain't going 24 hours in this, so I'm gonna yell at chat. I'm gonna yell at chat. By the way, we have over 200 votes in the poll, guys. Heck yes, 59% of you guys. So that now means that we got about 130 people who said heck yes, opposing Trump, and we've got 41%. So that does mean that we have about 80, 90 people who said heck yes, you support Trump's Greenland plan. And so here's what I want to put to you again. I'm going to go shill CNN points to you guys, and I don't think you all will have a response, and it's okay. Maybe it starts a conversation. It's not a fishing pole trap, guys. Don't worry about it. But yeah, to the 90 people who support Trump's Greenland posture, I tell you, well, look, these countries that really aren't in the U.S.'s interests, in Europe, in Asia, in Africa, and Latin America, really all over the world in different ways and places, are all becoming more successful. Either their sort of central banks are working better, or they've got higher trade volumes, their currency is doing better, or there's stabilization, and there's other levers that will produce that in the future. And so Trump by tariffing other places as a response to Greenland, and Trump seeking Greenland isn't getting what he achieves. What about Russia? What about Vladimir Putin? I don't know. You guys tell me. Amazing how atheists, we've got Adam getting auto-modded. Let me read this real quick. It says, amazing how atheists want the West to all have abortions and chop our parts off, to chop our parts off. So, okay. We're now being a rise of outside tradition that will dominate a neighborhood near you. Duh. Yeah, so Alex Levine has a very strongly held opinion here that it's awesome. It's awesome or amazing. It should inspire this ineffable sense that who are these atheists? What are they like? What do they want? Are you sure about that? And so it's amazing how these atheists want the West to all have abortions. And so there's a particular in the West, or like a sort of concept of the West, and then a particular in the all, to all have abortions. And so this is ghetto writing, no offense. This is ghetto as hell. All have abortions and chop whose are parts off, whose are, right? That's the easy way to say that, is whose are. And we're being on the rise of being a rise of outside tradition. Yeah, I was raised Catholic, and so when you tell me tradition, I think of where my mom and dad drive their car Sunday morning. Sunday morning, we drive to the carport at the church, or we drive to the open parking lot at the church. To me, that is tradition. To me, tradition is that I know I can go get like Mexican food or pizza or ribs afterwards. And tradition is also that, like, oh, when I was in high school, I became a vegetarian, and like there's millions of high schoolers that become vegetarians. So as a now 36-year-old, I don't see anything like awesome or mysterious or unexplainable in the fact that there's atheists in the world. I don't think it's factually accurate, is the second point, that atheists want you to have an abortion or want you to cut your pee off. And as a third point, I don't think we agree on what tradition is. I'd like to know more about what you think about tradition, though. I believe that tradition has often been invoked and misappropriated and placed incorrectly as a justification for far-right policies, starting really with guys like Tim Pool. If you go back to the sort of the new media, the alt-right, new media alt-right period about 10 years ago too. Alex, hopefully you're still here because I'm still talking at you or no one. But these guys said, yeah, we should support minimum government. Taxation is theft, and the most Republicans and all Democrats are bad. They're not good at doing government. They're not good at representing me. And this is like a very small libertarian tradition, is you hate government. You hate government, you think taxation is theft, and that's honestly how you'll always feel about it. You'll always feel like these people are getting more out of you than you give to them. And so this is an example of this point was taken and co-opted, I believe, by MAGA and the far right and Steve Bannon and conspiracy websites to say, well, there's a deep state, or to say that, well, they want to brownify the United States. And so you don't get Donald Trump without the racist talking points. And then yet I have to wonder, if you have to go through racist talking points to get Donald Trump, why is it the case that possibly the case Donald Trump's going to be an effective president? I don't get it. And hell yeah, we've got, so Clayton Bigsby, a big time celebrity. Some of you guys might know or be familiar with Clayton Bigsby. Clayton Bigsby is starting the MAGA chant in chat. And so if you guys don't know who Clayton Bigsby is, at least we have one MAGA supporter. There's about maybe 90 other MAGA supporters who have stopped by tonight. So lots of other folks. This and that, 12100, almost binary, almost learned to code. This, that 12111 is also MAGA. So again, there's been about 90 folks who support MAGA tonight. I'm I'm a progressive Democrat with some conservative leanings, so I absolutely do not support Donald Trump. And yeah, and so we're seeing Canada. So Canada is doing more business with China, and Canada is doing more business with the EU, which kind of sucks. So traditionally, like how most Canadians know about China, and I'm American, but I worked in Canada. Most Canadians know that China invests in Canada, and so you'd go around and you would say, oh well, this is there's a Chinese community here because it's just always been there. And this is a new building that a Chinese company is owning, or a Chinese immigrant, a Chinese investor is building this building in Canada. And now Mark Carney, like huge swing in D, right? Huge swing in D is a response to Donald Trump's policies, has said, well, yeah, this is we have the same goals. Basically, we have similar goals for what the world is, but like go F yourself, right? We have nothing else in common other than we don't want war. This is the one thing we want. We want free markets and we want war. We want war avoidance. And so Mark Carney says, F you, Trump, we're going to go do business with Canada and we will talk about it later. We'll talk about it some other time. And and the United States is not a part of this discussion. So for all you far right political commentators that are here in the house tonight, people that love Turning Point USA's message, how about that? Where is America first? Where is your love of our country when Mark Carney is just able to go around completely freely in spite of the U.S. national interest? I don't get it. I don't get it. As a progressive Democrat, I'm confused. You have confused me. That is what that means. Trader Bear, we've got Jacob Cahill in chat. Clayton Bigsby still leading you guys strong with those MAGA chants. Canada going to the moon. Heck yeah, guys. Yeah, Canada, you can get really good poutine there. If you're in the US or you haven't been to Canada, you can get poutine. There's in Vancouver and British Columbia as well. There's lots of good, like diverse food selections, very readily available. People love talking about food. So I'm just saying, when I went there, sometimes you don't know, like, oh, am I going to find a favorite restaurant, or will I be able to find something cheap or like delicious to eat while I'm on a trip or on a vacation or something. And Vancouver, British Columbia does have a ton of good food. Yeah, it's very ethnically diverse. There's also a Scientology church. So for my religious folks, you can go to British Columbia and join the Church of Scientology if you wanted to. That's one of the options you guys have available to you. How are we doing, guys? How are we doing? We've been live for 48 minutes. There's 27 likes. If anyone wants to like the video, I'd greatly appreciate it. If you like political or religious or just hangout streams, you guys can subscribe. I post shorts every day. That's all I'll say about that. But thank you guys for being here. I'm happy to keep going for a little bit longer if you guys want to hang out or whatever. I'm not going to like put it on you guys, but yeah. Do I have white guilt? Someone asked earlier, it's funny you asked that. Someone asked if I have black fatigue earlier. And I said, hell no. No, but I did say my answer was keep American art forms, including the blues, rhythm and blues, alive. Keep the stories of the civil rights movement alive. Donald Trump is now not only digging into his bag to appeal to rich white Christians because everyone else is jumping off of his backsliding sort of downward sludge of, putrid filth, poo-poo, pee-pee stuff. Everyone's jumping ship, guys. And so Donald Trump did say something the other day about how the civil rights movement really hurt white folks. I don't have white guilt, guys. I don't have white guilt. I don't have black fatigue because I'm a white dude. I probably do have a little bit of white guilt. Yeah, I recognize at some point you describe your surroundings and what's outside of it. And I'm sure black folks have done this as well in society. And if you want to give a name to white guilt, cool. Okay, cool. I'm happy to take that. But yeah, I'm sure like this is the disingenuous part is someone that grows up in like the actual ghetto or housing projects probably reaches the age of like 40, 45 and realizes, wow, yeah, I was a kid in a dangerous or an abusive neighborhood that didn't want you to be successful. That's where I'm from. And there's probably also things me and others could have done differently living in this place. There's some maybe locus of control that wasn't identified. And so, sure, that could someone could construe this in a conversation to say, well, there's white guilt and black guilt. You know, this guy didn't give that much money to like you know, whatever it is, the Red Cross or Humane Society, puppies and kittens and stuff like that. But and you know, this person didn't whatever. They didn't network when they were at church or didn't network while in you know, after school or something. You know, who knows? So woulda, shoulda, couldas in the sociology terms, and I don't know what you were actually talking about. So that's my white guilt. I think all these people in here are trying to get with this guy. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I don't know what to say to that. I'm humbled and honored, right? Have you guys, I don't know if anyone here's ever watched like the IRL e-dating shows. There's a lot more on not just YouTube, but Twitch. So there's some on YouTube as well. But the IRL e-dating shows and stuff like that are they're kind of funny. They're sort of inappropriate. They're definitely leaning to inappropriate, but a lot of times they're meant to be more platonic sometimes, like most of the time. And so, yeah, there's e-dating shows, and it's a place for people to think about relationships. I don't know if any of these people are like relationship experts, but I'm sure there's nice people that do that type of streaming. There's nice people in that sort of academic space of e-dating and stuff. But yeah, your accent is too heavy Canadian. I'm not Canadian. I'm in Arizona. Yeah, I think what you're sensing is like slight neurodivergence. Yeah, it's neurodivergence. It's actual neurodivergence too. Yeah. So what about Peter Thiel? He has said some bizarre things. Yeah. So Peter Thiel's latest well, Peter Thiel's doing two or three things. He's still developing these sort of libertarian companies in a free market. So he's got now like the betting app where you can bet on society. He had Facebook, he has Palantir, and he's going against a wealth tax that California has proposed. And so there's a classic American story going on in California where there's a huge battle about whether or not California can levy a wealth tax on the wealthiest citizens of that state, wealthiest residents. Peter Thiel, very famous. I believe he's lived in Los Angeles, that area, for a long time. And so he's put up $3 million cash of his own money. And so that's a lot of money. If you guys don't know, it might not be a lot of money for Peter Thiel. Peter Thiel is a billionaire, so one of like maybe 200 billionaires. But he put up $3 million of cash. And yeah, and that's just money out of his hands that he will never see back. And again, for him, the issue is that, you know, who knows, he probably wants to be involved in those types of politics and stuff. But yeah, a lot of people, progressive Democrats, don't believe that money should be the only determining factor in a democracy. Most Democrats that I know believe that you should be able to give some money, maybe even give a lot of money to political action committees, PACs. And yeah, and you should also be aware that there's grassroots political efforts, and there's good people in the world too, right? You know, there's good people who spend their time doing good grassroots politics. And a lot of people say, you know, that's Zohran Mamdani. Okay, cool. Prove it, you know, cool. I like Zohran Mamdani. When I was watching Zohran campaign and speak, I like Zohran. I think the guy works his tail off. I think the guy actually cares about stuff, and we will also at some point see how successful he is, as is always the case, guys. So good luck to Zohran Mamdani. I wish I could say in good faith, and I maybe can say good luck to Donald Trump and to members of Donald Trump's cabinet. Whether or not you agree with their past decisions into the future, one thing I'll say for damn sure is that the Trump administration is also probably going to be facing some massive challenges. Um, Maybe if you are angry and bitter, rightfully so, or you are not bitter but you're still skeptical of the Trump administration's policies, which I am too. By the way, we might say, well, you built a house of cards or a house of sand, and now you're underneath it. Take that, Donald Trump. And yeah, I'd also like to, if somebody from MAGA wants to weigh in, and I say Donald Trump's failing, his approval ratings fallen. People all around the world no longer believe in the United States, and you can measure it now. It's statistical. It's based in data, not just like my own personal facts. So yeah, TDS, Trump did something. Yeah, I'm assuming Clayton Bigsby, who was saying MAGA earlier, shout out to you also for proudly and boldly representing your beliefs when literally no one else can. Even though I'm not MAGA. But yeah, TDS, I'm assuming that means Trump did something, so you're going to go post on X about it and go catch up on Tim Pool and all this other stuff. You're Canadian? Kevin, I'm not Canadian. You guys love saying I'm Canadian. I'm a tiger, baby. No, I'm not a tiger. I'm wearing a tiger shirt, but I'm from Arizona. I'm in the US. I'm in the greater Phoenix area, Southwest United States. So I am American. Yeah, just doing a quick stream tonight, everybody. Hey, everybody. Yeah, cool. Thank you, Natalie Elizabeth, the sensible Canadian in chat saying I'm not Canadian. Thank you, eh? Yeah, I went to Vancouver. I worked with one of the guys I worked with was from Montreal. I wanted to move to Montreal for a little while for work, and that didn't pan out. I didn't pursue it. It didn't pan out. I didn't pursue it, and it did not pan out. So it was kind of both things, guys. It was kind of both things. Frisky Dingle is correcting me. TDS means Trump derangement syndrome. Okay, cool. I haven't heard that in a while. It's been a while since I've heard. I know what it means. I'm lying. I'm playing with you guys a little bit, but it's been a while since I've heard Trump derangement syndrome, to be honest. Coked out gay. GAY. No, not really, not totally. Yeah, we are an LGBTQIA plus friendly channel though, folks. So please be nice. We're also not a channel that endorses or celebrates the use of any illicit substance or any illicit behaviors in line with YouTube's terms of service. So thank you very much for that. Which city in Arizona are you from? Kevin, I'm in the Phoenix area. That's as specific as I'll get. I grew up though if you guys have heard Donald Trump talking about Intel. Intel is a big semiconductor plant and producer, engineering company. They do a lot, but I grew up next to the Intel factory. It was very cool. I grew up in Chandler, Arizona, next to one of Intel's locations. We also so we can get to know each other a little bit, guys. We also have aerospace companies. We have Boeing. There's Boeing. There's Honeywell. There's a bunch of stuff in Phoenix, the Phoenix area. So a lot of some of my friends from high school ended up going to be engineers and just got jobs in Arizona. They just got jobs here. They didn't leave ever. So I didn't realize that's rare, because I also had friends in high school whose parents were from India. And so they would go to IIT and instead of going to find a job in India, they would move 14,000 miles to the United States to work. So yeah, I didn't appreciate that. I didn't think that it's odd that I could go to school and get a job making, like, in theory, I could have gotten a job as an engineer out of college if I had done that, if I was able to do that. I don't know if I would actually be smart enough, but yeah. Yeah, Australia can kick rocks. Oh, we got a little anti-Steve Irwin sentiment in chat, everyone. Australia can kick rocks. I love Australia because I like Steve Irwin. I think people that give others an opportunity to get to know nature pretty well And that's a very good thing, guys. That's a very good thing. The best thing about that is Steve Irwin didn't just love nature, but he gave opportunities for real, true, passionate in the lab, in the classroom experts like science educators and biologists to also teach you about nature. Gave people that inspiration to hopefully, put a pair of sneakers on and go hiking every once in a while, to respect nature, respect your environment. These are issues that Donald Trump doesn't talk about that I wish he would. I would do that stuff because you have never left the US and have no knowledge on how people outside of the US talk about us. Cheese crust, is that for me? I don't know if you guys are debating amongst yourself. I think that's what it is because I have been outside of the US. Not that I'm an expert or not that I know anything about like other geographies and cultures. Oh, okay. Her Descartes, I think that TDS term that says that people that like Donald Trump, so just based on the chat poll so far, of which, wow, we have almost 400 votes, and 40% of you guys say you don't support Trump and that you would chat and tell me why. So her Descartes is saying that TDS is people that excuse everything Donald Trump does. And so that would be the people. So right now, with 43%, that would be like what, 129 plus whatever this other number is, like 167 of you guys or so. 167 of you guys said that you do support Trump's posture against Greenland. And that means the rest of these votes, so 200 something, say, heck yes, you oppose those Trump postures. And so TDS is people who say, yeah, you're allowed to threaten a country as a president of the United States. That's part of your job. Okay, cool. Weird. I don't get it, but you guys are right. Chat always wins, right? So that means 180 of you guys that are here or have been here tonight support Donald Trump. You guys win. You guys are always right too. But yeah, Democrats that are here, you guys are also right. You guys also always win. Good to know there's a bunch of us that are able to have peaceful discussion by and large. I've only had one person who accidentally said that we shouldn't have rights or accidentally threatened violence from the perspective of the right tonight. And so for people that are progressive Democrats, hopefully you guys are minding your P's and Q's and addressing any latent violent beliefs that you guys hold or harbor like everyone else. Yeah, there we go. We've got fuck those fascists. Yeah, cool. God save the queen, my friend. MAGA strong, baby. We got this, that, binary code, talking, yapping in chat, yapping. Zesty boys, time is over. When the U.S. adds a territory, is always better for that territory. Ooh, that's kind of weird. The Philippines is like an old case study if you want to learn about them. The Philippines was a land with indigenous people, and then it was a British colony. And then it was 1948, I believe, the United States, took over and kind of they wrote over their own constitution, but they wanted the Philippines to be a point of control in the Pacific, in sort of the Southeast Asian sort of region. There was energy interests. And so by and large, the reason your argument doesn't work, if you guys can see that comment that's going up that's saying life gets better for you when you become a colony, it's actually just not about that. It's not about being a territory of the United States. It's not about being a colony. It's about geopolitical competition. Edward Said is one very famous writer who's written about these phenomenon. The main issue, he quotes Karl Marx, and no, I'm not a Marxist, but this is what Ed Said says. He says, well, these were people that don't represent themselves, and according to someone, they've never represented themselves and never been able to. And so it's just a statement of power politics, of geopolitics, geopolitical realism, structuralism, regional security, interpretations. And actually, countries like the Philippines and around the Philippines have solved this problem by like rejecting sort of hierarchies, rejecting hegemony, Not rejecting like in a sort of Hegelian sense, but just saying that like, yeah, if there's one issue that we can't solve here, the one issue that we can't solve here is the issue that it's because we don't have like a central leader or something. No, they say we don't need to delegate our authority and our decision making power to like a shared interest. We just don't address issues that way, right? Really complicated stuff, really difficult stuff, guys. Canadians, yeah, if there's any Canadians here and you guys want to weigh in on Mark Carney, lay it on thick, baby. Lay it on. Lay it on. Lay it on. Lay it on. All right. Crazy eyes, right? No, if you guys have opinions on Canada, Mark Carney, Greenland, European allies performing military drills in Greenland, tell me what I'm not saying, guys. Train me up like I'm your GPT, or like I can use you guys. You guys are my chat GPT for the night. Yeah. Yeah, Herdic Hearts is talking about Swedish MILFs, guys. Welcome to YouTube. I'm just kidding. Someone clip that. Someone clip that, bro. No, I'm just messing around a little bit, but yeah, just blowing off some steam and all that kind of stuff. Boys, girls, males, females, folks of all kinds. Like I mentioned, we are an LGBTQIA plus friendly channel. I will ban you if you spread hateful ideas. Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Duckswy. I go by Nathan. In real life, I go by Duck Online. All right, guys. And so, yeah, I've talked about the runoff of the ISIS sort of failure as an administration. And failure is such a strong word. But one might say that, well, we don't know what's going to happen in the next 20 years, as it turns out. We don't know what's going to happen in the next 5 years or the next 2 or 3 months. And most people giving an objective analysis would actually say that people like Mayor Jacob Frey are convincing, not just because he's a young, attractive, sort of powerfully well-spoken, passionate political participant as a mayor, not totally powerful, not powerless, but Jacob Frey is right. When he opens his mouth, maybe he has the most important currency in politics, which is honesty. He's being truthful that Minnesotans haven't sort of backed down from ICE. ICE isn't effectively operating. It's not maximally effective. It's maybe not effective at all. It's a failing agency. And this is all part of Trump's larger backslide. And so does this force Donald Trump to go lie to his base again? Yeah, that's actually what's happening. It does all kinds of crazy stuff. And so, yeah, it's crazy. I'm sure guys like Don Lemon and these top political commentators have been talking about this for months, that this is going to happen. And yeah, I don't want to feel stupid because it's so complicated and it's so unpredictable, or I just don't know enough that I have to wait for CNN to tell me what I don't know, and I don't know what I don't know, and all this stuff. And so competitively, the main point is that, yeah, if you guys support Trump, you guys are going to have friends here. If you guys oppose Trump, you're probably going to have more friends here. But we're not an echo chamber. I hope you guys can see that. I oppose Donald Trump. I oppose the Trump policies. I oppose hate, what I see as hatred, and national interest that I don't understand. And being able to get this narrative and message to the point where, yeah, guys, we can have justice for Renee Good. We can have more sensible conversations about how this impacts the United States long term. Let's go do that. Let's just stop somewhere and never talk about this again. Affordable Australian housing. What's going on in Australia? I don't mean to like bite off that big of a chunk, but yeah, because you guys have a Labour Party prime minister right now. What's his name? I always forget it. Anthony Albanese. Yeah, he seemed like a nice guy. He seemed to speak. The only time, sadly, I've seen him speak was after what was it called? The Bilbo Beach. There was the racially motivated or ethnically motivated hit on a Jewish party on the beach. Yeah, light switches. I am a little bit. Yeah. No, guys, we do 130. So, guys, we do 130 IQ political commentary on this channel. And so, if you guys like the video, double tap, subscribe, hit like. We're going to be here all night. Bondi Beach. Yeah, that's right. Triune Kingdom, you know how dumb and brain dead I am. Triune Kingdom, don't go anywhere. You can be my GPT for the rest of the night. How many gods are there, Triune Kingdom? GPT me that answer. Yeah, Twinkle more. 130.2. No, I was just kidding. Everyone's who ever lived in Minnesota is where don't drive over ice in January. It won't end well. Ow, cheese crust. That hurts. That hurts. If you support ICE now, you would have supported the SS in 1933. Yeah. Yeah, I made the analogy either earlier tonight, Dennis, that Hitler got arrested because what Hitler wanted to do, like reasonable people were saying, well, we're basically just going to show you why we don't do this, why this is wrong. And Donald Trump basically is doing the same thing. We can talk about why we don't drive toward religious extremism and all this other stuff. It's just not fair and it's not right. I don't want to talk about it again. Australia has no respect for parents. The government deprives the parents of parental rights. The government blocks kids. What is this saying? And teens from being digitally skilled. I thought Australia had some decent social safety nets, sort of welfare state style programs. I know I know that they, just like every sort of fairly wealthy Western country, have political divides, but I didn't think it was like that sort of deprived. I don't know. I'm not Australian, obviously. Obviously, mate. Margie Winners is practicing what the Buddhists call right speak, which means you speak honestly. And they say, I hate that America has a PDF as a president. Yeah, it's slightly dehumanizing, and the analogy is tied to the Epstein files. And so I think that that accurately classifies or renders as a Buddhist statement of right speech. So good job to you. Renee learned it's dangerous to drive on ice. Wow. Wow. That's not a very nice thing to say. Guys, the rage bait stuff, guys. Rage bait stuff. Come on, man. Come on, guys. What am I? If I'm doing rage bait stuff, I don't mean to be doing that either. I don't mean to be doing that. Epstein needs to be nonpartisan. Where'd that Triune guy go? Triune was supposed to. Hey, what's up, JD Tux? I'm not popping off on chat again tonight, JD Tux. I don't know if you were here for that. No offense, but I'm trying not to. Trend says supporting ICE in nowhere akin to supporting the SS. The left is mentally corrupt making these comparisons. I don't know who said they're part of the left. Is mentally corrupt making these comparisons. Supporting ICE is in no way akin to supporting the SS. Yeah. Well, this isn't. Yeah, you're pinning it down, Tran. You're kind of forming the argument. Adolf Hitler also set up a sort of independent paramilitary group, and the logic, of course, for Hitler, for Mustache Guy, was that, well, everyone else has a paramilitary group, but these guys aren't going anywhere. These guys aren't going to go anywhere if they're nationalists, and we can just set up a good military, and we can tell them we're going to go be the best military, and we're going to be the best military for Germany. This comes first because these guys aren't going anywhere. This is, if this is where we can do our German nationalism, our success story, it's also true and attractive that a military is maybe the best thing we can have. And so so when we see that there's rhetoric from ICE that, and you see banners on the news, you see MAGA and Trump administration saying weird stuff like, these people are all drug dealers and all this other stuff, this, that, and the other. There's this analogy that this is an organization outside of society that's meant to serve Trump's interest primarily. And if less than 50% or less than 40% of the country actually supports what ICE is doing, it's not, it doesn't to me feel like it's democratic. And even if it was democratic and populist, it violates the rules of law. So you're basically asking, my response to you, Trend 3830, is there's a long discussion or debate, but I don't believe your statement even coheres with reality. I think it's that far off that it's just outside of what reality is actually like. And to say that I'm mentally corrupt means that do I then have to say, well, you're mentally corrupt because you can't see your argument isn't actually about reality? When we actually break down what you're trying to say and the historical references you have no grounding, you have no evidence. And this is, again, what at this point in time, 62% of the country realizes, even people that voted for Trump, with the 40% being those who are always Trumpers. They're always going to vote for Trump. They were always going to vote for Trump. They were always going to want to make America great again. Sorry, you guys are out of luck. It's bad policy. It's bad politics. It's bad for the United States. It's losing. If you guys wanted to win, well, congrats. What you found is you found yourself as a loser. That's the honest truth. You did not win anything. If you wanted to win something, you won being called a loser. So good job. Congratulations. This is why we're doing 130 IQ political commentary. But yeah, we've been going for about an hour and 15 minutes, so we're down to maybe about like 108 IQ, guys, so you guys can be ChatGPT. Hey, Cam Flynn, bam, 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 bam. We got the Bamf of Bamps, Cam Flimmin. I went and said what's up to our shared friend Kel today too, so I was very excited about that. What's one death to the billions that are actively suffering through the exploitation others benefit from? Yeah, what is one death to the billions? That's a good point, Cameron Flynn, 8536. If you make it make sense and make it not make sense, but you make it meaningful that one person died, why was that? Why would that? Why should it be the case that someone dies unnecessarily? Maybe there's no reason ever. And that's why people demand nonviolence in politics. They demand stronger representation. They demand to just be that sort of thing, that feel that they are. They demand it. And yeah, and that's the acid jazz, guys. That's the acid jazz of democracy. The acid jazz is such that no amount of story or history is going to rise above sort of that video image that Renee Good is getting shot. What does that actually mean? That actually means that someone who is kind of like whatever, Eichmann and the Third Reich, someone that was actually like Eichmann said that, yeah, here, take a pistol and you can go out and do whatever you want, and we're not even going to investigate it. We ain't going to do that. That's how Hitler got arrested the first time. Was Hitler said, I'm going to send my troops and we can go talk and do whatever we want. That is not democracy. That isn't democracy. It's not even part of what democracy wants to be like, guys. Cheese Crust is voting for me to fail, man. Wow. Guys, chat, help me meditate very quickly. Chat, cheese crust 13, go. Can I have 10 subscribers right now, guys? Ready? I'm gonna pretend like we just got 10 new subscribers to shill, because Pizza Crust is voting for me to fail. Don't subscribe if you don't like the video or whatever, but go. Goal. All right, thank you, guys. 468 votes. 468 souls have weighed in when you didn't have to use your voice to just share if you have an opinion about Greenland, about a sovereign state and a sovereign people, and what this is trampling over. Jesus Christ, guys. Jesus H. This is my main problem as an atheist. Now that it's late, it's almost midnight where I am. I can be honest. The reason I call myself an atheist, even though I'm a former Catholic, is because I think it talks over the issues that matter most to people. And people like my friend, a badass Cameron Flynn, who has something he wants to talk about, and no one will respond to it. Why? Because we all want to argue about policies about someone else with more money, more time, more weapons, more guns, more votes, more popularity. Um, they're more beautiful, they're louder, they sound better, they build more stuff, whatever the issue is. So we take those issues and we put them on top of the stuff that actually matters. When in reality, the thing that drives life all around the world it isn't money, it's not guns, pew pews, it's not votes, it's not the abortion issue, it's not the women's rights issue, it's not your opinion on civil rights. These things we don't think about anymore because we have figured them out once, folks. But the thing that drives life for us drives life for everyone. And for Democrats like especially Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, ever since she was an undergraduate at Boston College, Boston University, whatever, she wanted to believe that Washington, D.C. could be the place that impacts the picture for people all around the United States, but also all around the world. And so if you don't actually believe that Washington, D.C. can have an impact for people all around the world, are you actually talking about popularity? Are you talking about manufacturing and guns? Are you talking about who's the loudest, who's the most beautiful, who's the prettiest, who builds the most, who eats the most, who sells the most, who buys the most? Are you talking about something that's not actually about how we get by together? Paid protesters. Hell no, that isn't at all what I'm saying. I don't know if you're agreeing. I just saw paid protesters and I'm freaking out already. There's not paid protesters. There's people who don't like seeing high-speed SUVs chases in their city when there's plenty of other good news and bad news that you can look up all around the country. And like I said, Cam Flynn, who's here all the time, we hang out on other channels. We're both nobodies other places. But I want him to be a somebody here because he at least said something that is his opinion and nobody wanted to talk about it. What's one person dying? So I'll ask his question again. What's one person dying out of a billion if no one cares about it? If no major outlets are willing to pick up the story? People are dying in ICE custody, and that's just the start. There's environmental and resource tragedies happening all over the world. And yeah, it is a tragedy when one person dies. If you don't see it that way, what are you talking about? Are you talking about some view that you picked up on a YouTube channel because you thought it sounded cool because other people agreed with it? I don't believe you. I don't believe you're doing it the right way. Gulf of America, baby. Now we got Orange Land. Yeah, that's one way to put it. A really diverse ecology on that side of the country, a place that geopolitically has been defined and subsumed by the aggregate definition of the United States. So great point. I don't know if that's a Texas point, but you just got Texas. Yeah, when we wrote the Federalist documents, and not just then, but when Fort Bragg was built, before it's whatever it's called now, and all these other stories, if you want to go to aerospace companies that build airplanes, you don't have like the Gulf of, you don't have, people like to pick out this stuff and say, well, it's always bigger in Texas or California. You just always had the continental United States was the most important part of the United States. Alaska was a big deal. And yeah, historians can really nerd out, but you're not ever going to go back to that sort of top level theory about how we conducted diplomacy with Europe back then, or what Alexander Hamilton and James Madison wrote about us. And so, yeah, so Gulf of America, I just say, okay, cool. Yeah, that's you should make a t-shirt. That's not actually politics. Gulf of America and Orange Land. No, let's agree. And then let's agree that we can get back to priorities in politics too. Good point. Hey, what's up, Scott? Yeah, sorry, everyone who's here. There's a bunch of you guys here. A bunch of you guys have voted. Almost 500 people have voted on the poll now. We're still stuck 60%. About 59% exactly said, heck yes, you oppose Trump's posture on Greenland. Oppose. In your face, everyone says. And 41% say, heck no, and you're going to tell me why in chat. You're going to tell everyone why. So thank you to the 120 people that are here and to the almost 500 people who have now voted. And sorry, because there's more of you guys here than there usually are. I'm not saying hi to everyone. Wow. This Crusader Jason guy is asking me to go out and protest and get shot. This guy, or, just getting generally in the vicinity of that. Wow, Crusader Jason. I don't know if Crusader Jason is based on some sort of evangelical reference, but that doesn't seem to typically represent that sort of Christian warrior mindset to wish ill on your enemy in that way. I don't even see myself as your enemy. It's just your idea wasn't very good in the first place. We're gonna eat well. We're gonna eat well. We're gonna eat well, don't you? I hope you know that. I hope you know that. I hope you know that. I read that the wrong way. I read it. Donald Trump is a computer racist. He's a complete racist. He's trying to make the Democrats succeed. Yeah, Donald Trump appears to be backsliding in his own way. Maybe this is like the ironic, the Bill Burr sort of irony of what we're doing here, guys. It's only under Donald Trump. What we're finally seeing now is that he has to do what MAGA does. Jim Carrey, liar, liar, but instead it's like MAGA, MAGA. And so when MAGA backslides, Donald Trump has to go out and say, well, Martin Luther King Jr. wasn't a very good guy. Okay. That's funny stuff. But really, yeah, you shouldn't be doing that while you're a president of the United States. We typically want our presidents getting BJs under the table and getting some French fries. We typically want a president or the president talking about Madam President-elect. You really generally want them saying, yeah, let's get this brown guy in office, or let's get a woman in office for the first time. You typically don't want them going back and saying, well, this Malcolm X guy, he really had this black rage thing down and it wasn't good for the white guys, for whitey. That's not what you want your president saying, guys. Yeah. Yeah, the next poll I'm going to run is whether TDS is for supporting Trump or not supporting Trump, because I actually don't know. I'm just doing like bad stand-up comedy right now, bad jokes. The insult dog, the insults for Trump or whatever, or we can get our very kind of froggy voice down and kind of wonder what's going to happen next. Secretary Noam showed up, after buying some Swarovski crystals at the Mall of America and said, well, Renee Good, what size is she? Is she a medium? Okay, no, ICE didn't do anything wrong, and this was our Minneapolis press conference, everyone. I don't know what's going on. Don't disrespect the dead. Don't disrespect anything, whatever. I don't know. Trump derangement syndrome. Yeah, but what are you deranged about? What is someone, not you, but like if someone has TDS, what are they deranged about? I don't get it. Obama. TDS is a serious condition. Yeah. Yeah. All right, guys. I think I'm kind of gassed for the night. You guys have been awesome. You guys were more or less nice to me. I only got told once to go shoot myself. So that's a pretty good stream. That's a pretty good night. Jason, we're friends, I hope. I think it's worse to elect a president solely on the basis that you would be first female president, especially blah, blah, blah. Not blah, 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 but especially one that never went through a primary, instead was appointed by a candidate. Yeah, I mean, I voted for Kamala because I believe she was qualified and she offered a super robust, what's it called? Super robust, I believe, economic platform. Basically said we're going to keep up the Biden economy, which was investing well, growing, and added good price signals to the market and stuff like that. It basically told people how much stuff should be worth, and yeah, you could do with that what you wanted to, and there were going to be winners and losers, all the same as any other time. And so, just from my perspective, that was hugely important to me. And the fact that she was going to give first-time business owners a chance, especially if they came from diverse communities that historically don't have access to the same capital mechanisms. Yeah, this isn't going to mess up our economy. This is going to help our economy. At the end of the day, it's going to be helpful. So, so why not? Yeah, but I'm going to call the stream, guys. Thank you so much. 502. I'll show you guys this. 180 of you guys here. Do take note. We've had over 500 people vote, and it turned out about 300 people, guys. Thank you so much for voicing your opinions. Almost 200 people here, and we had almost 300 people over the course of the night voice their opinions, saying they're opposed to Trump's posture in Greenland. And then we also had some people in chat right now too. Nearly 200 people, over 200 people say they support Donald Trump's posture in Greenland. They support the president. And so this is actually higher than the current approval rating of Trump, which is around 38%. And so thank you guys for coming up, sharing your opinions, even if I disagree with them. And yeah, please do subscribe, join another live stream. I'll catch you guys in the shorts feed as well. I try to post informed content, mostly about politics, sometimes about philosophy and stuff. I cover geopolitics, US politics, and like doing these conversations. Love it. You guys can tell my voice is absolutely cooked right now. But thank you guys. This was a ton of fun, quick kind of 90-minute banger with you guys. And yeah, and I'd like to grow the channel. I'd like to do more stuff with you guys. And if nothing else, yeah, kind of come out and even on smaller streams where I can actually read your chats and stuff, basically sit here and hang out and stuff like that too. And yeah, have a little bit of fun. So thank you guys. Double tap to like, subscribe, and I will, I'll see you guys around, or I won't. We'll catch you guys. My name's Duck. Good night. Have a good night.